Welcome to RCR Wireless News. I'm Martha DeGrasse, and our topic today is cloud-controlled Wi-Fi. I'm joined today by David Kalish. He is VP of Corporate Marketing at Ruckus Wireless. David, thanks so much for making the time today.
Martha, thanks for hosting us, and thanks for having us on. It's exciting to do this.
Yeah, it's a good topic. Also here is Ivan Muccini. He is VP of Product at Cloud4We. Ivan, thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Martha, for the opportunity.
And also here is Claus Hetting. He is founder of Hetting Consultants, a Wi-Fi specialist. Claus, thanks for being here.
It's my pleasure, Martha. Great to be back. Thanks.
Claus, I'd like to start off by asking you to share a definition with us of what cloud-controlled Wi-Fi is.
Right. It's actually a really good question, and I think it is a term that needs a definition. I think maybe it's useful to break up the history of cloud-based Wi-Fi maybe in two phases. I think the first phase came maybe a few years ago when a number of enterprise Wi-Fi vendors did away with the controller, which is essentially the hardware and software unit that Wi-Fi access points plug into for sort of larger coordinated deployments. And they did away with that because they figured out that they could put that functionality in the cloud, and that has been used with quite some success by various vendors because it gives a lot of benefits, including scalability and centralized management and all of that. Now, I think the second phase is what we're seeing now with companies like Cloud4We, and there's a number of others that in a similar space that are now taking a more generalized approach to cloud-based Wi-Fi management, where they're essentially allowing, well, in principle, a low-level router and perhaps belonging to a business or even an individual person to plug into a Wi-Fi service management platform that can then be accessed online through the cloud, and so that an individual business or an individual person can actually offer professional-grade Wi-Fi at their venue, whether it be a small venue or a large venue. But even, for example, a business that has just a single access point only needs a single access point. So it's come from being an enterprise-grade thing, a service provider-grade thing, to being much more generalized. I think this is an exciting time because the perspective is that if people really start taking or bringing this to the market, to the mass market, then there's an opportunity there for the creation of, shall we say, an alternative wireless network. Alternative in the sense that alternative perhaps to mobile. Let's say if in a few years millions perhaps of wireless Wi-Fi access points can be combined into a big aggregate network that is managed in the cloud by one or more cloud Wi-Fi providers. So I think the perspective is really interesting. That's my definition anyway.
So, David, I know that you talk to a lot of your customers about cloud Wi-Fi. Would you agree with that definition and with the idea that there is the opportunity to eventually create alternatives to wireless networks?
Well, I don't know about alternative to wireless networks. I think it's an exciting way to, when you think of, first of all, Wi-Fi by definition is a radio. So, and when you connect a device to Wi-Fi, you're connecting locally to a radio. So those radios will always be on site. But really, cloud Wi-Fi is really moving the control plane, the ability to manage those access points into a cloud-based computing model where you, instead of having a controller on site, like he was saying, you can take that software and you can virtualize it and you can run it anywhere you want, and it gives the customer a lot more flexibility, because what customers want to do, whether they have one access point or many access points, is they want to have the ability to control those from wherever they are now, and the ability to put that software and virtualize that software and put it anywhere where you have a point of presence or you have a point of service delivery becomes really compelling, and it allows you to do some really interesting things in terms of turning Wi-Fi from a traditional infrastructure, I sell boxes and access points and I put them on site, to more of a service where Wi-Fi can actually become a service. Now, you still need Wi-Fi access points, you always will, at the site to connect users, but the ability for IT administrators and companies, whether they be large or small, to be able to manage those environments now from wherever, and to scale those environments becomes a lot more easy and compelling. So it can reduce time to market. It can streamline the operational efficiencies. You can turn the traditional CapEx model of having to pay for physical equipment and rack and stack it somewhere to more of an OpEx model. So it's just really exciting to be able to offer a cloud Wi-Fi service. But fundamentally, I think when you talk about cloud Wi-Fi, you're really talking about the ability to manage Wi-Fi environments from the cloud, a server somewhere that's running a management software for some access points, and to be able to control those and do kind of unique things, push ads to them, define the service, be able to define the actual access points and control those access points from wherever you are. And that really changes the game in terms of traditional Wi-Fi deployments for not only carriers but for enterprises as well, really for anybody who wants to offer a guest or a staff or public access of any kind. So we're excited about that, but it really is a fundamental shift from the way Wi-Fi networks have traditionally been deployed.
Okay, great, thanks. Now you talk about Wi-Fi as a service and pushing ads to customers, and Ivan, I know that Cloud4Y has worked with carriers to enable that for their small and medium business customers. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, of course. Thanks, Martha. So I definitely agree with the definition of Klaus about cloud Wi-Fi. You know, it concerns at least two main wide area. One is concern the capabilities of managing the access device configuration from a single and centralized interface that which allows you to set up and maintain the network without the physical access to the devices. And the area we are more focused is the second topic that concerns setting up and managing the services delivered through the Wi-Fi network. That can be public Wi-Fi, hotspot services, up to guest and enterprise access. So definitely both of these areas benefit from the cloud approach because it drastically simplifies the operation on the entire life cycle of Wi-Fi initiative, from the setting up, the access point, the service provisioning, up to the maintenance and monitoring practices. So at Cloud4Y, we are focused on the service management side. So we use cloud approach to let managed service provider to set up and deliver value-add services to their customers on top of the Wi-Fi networks. Network that in turn is controlled and maintained through the cloud-based management system of the Wi-Fi vendor. And these two words are strictly related to each other. The network is actually the baseline layer, and value-add services and monetization strategies can run on top of that as an independent business application layer. So with this goal in mind, we created a marketplace of business applications tailored for the Wi-Fi ecosystem that can run on top of any Wi-Fi access network with very high flexibility. And this allows the Wi-Fi provider and enterprises to use Wi-Fi service to support his own business, to monetize the initiative, to get closer to their customer by setting up campaigns that improve the loyalty and maybe increase the revenues.
So I know that you don't want to talk about specific customers, but you do have service providers that are using this already?
Yes, of course. Most of our customers are service provider and managed service provider that are started using Wi-Fi as providing a managed service offering to enterprises. And the interesting fact is more often who take care of the network infrastructure and who set up the service and implement monetization strategies on top of that are different teams. So we have many use cases, probably most of them, where the Wi-Fi project started from an initiative of the marketing team of the service provider, not from the IT department. And they see the Wi-Fi as an alternative media to extend their marketing initiative and create new appealing market offers. So, and these teams need to get the control of and work with flexibility independently from the IT department without taking care too much of the network-related practices and constraints. That they simply want to deliver a more engaging hotspot services, control the user experience, get the insight about customers base, and put in place the best strategies to increase the customer loyalty and maybe, as I say, generate revenue streams, or maybe just to simply spread the brand and increase the brand awareness.
Okay, thank you. Now, David, are you also hearing a lot from marketing departments at wireless service providers?
Well, I think Ivan's right. That's kind of where the change is with the cloud. It really brings in to the IT decision, the marketing group, because once everybody knows what Wi-Fi is and knows how to use it, and once you have a subscriber base or a user base that now has access to Wi-Fi, you want to know more about them. And one of the things the cloud really allows you to do is to do some really interesting things with understanding who's using your network. What's the gender of the people? How long are they staying on? What kind of devices are they using to access the network? Where are they going? How long are they on? Where are they located? And all this data can be stored and fed into systems that are cloud-based that allow you to access them and to begin to change your business behavior or your business dynamics based on that information. You know, the example of retail is always given because people can understand, you know, people go into stores and they walk around and they get on networks, and being able to understand the behavior of consumers, just simple walking around and where they are and how much they're using the network, provides you with opportunities to alter how your business is run. So yeah, it's a bit different. But the infrastructure decision is still really decided upon by the IT group, because at the end of the day, you can have the neatest, simplest to use cloud-based solution, but if users can't connect because your Wi-Fi is crappy, then you have a problem. So first and foremost, you have to have a Wi-Fi infrastructure that can actually deliver strong signals and reliable connectivity before you can even entertain you know, getting some of those analytics and some of those neat services that you run on top. So it's really important to marry, you know, best-in-class kind of Wi-Fi technology where users are connecting devices, and lots more of them. And those devices aren't really very good in terms of Wi-Fi. These handheld devices have very low-powered, low-cost Wi-Fi chips and antennas, and they don't connect stably a lot of times. And so you need to really solve that problem first and foremost, and then once you do that, begin to allow mechanisms to more easily manage and turn up services when and where you want them. And the cloud is ideal for that. So the marriage of really good infrastructure technology and cloud-based computing and the scale and all the leverage that you get from that model really is changing the market as we know it.
Okay, thank you. So carriers have a clear incentive to consider cloud-based Wi-Fi in their offerings for enterprises, but for the enterprise IT departments, Claus, I'd like to get your perspective on what these people need to think about when they're evaluating solutions that their service providers may bring to them and that may be cloud-based.
Well, I think it really depends on what kind of enterprise you're talking about. I think there's a lot of solutions out there already that address the enterprise market powerfully, both from Wrapup and from others, and allow you to do things like managing your profiles, bring your own device, security, and all of that. And in a lot of cases, in the case of many vendors, all this is done or for some of them at least, this is done in the cloud, right? So I think that's fine. What's more interesting for me as an analyst and also as an organizer of some of these events is looking forward at some of the new opportunities for small to medium businesses to use, for example, solutions of the type represented by Ivan here, Cloud4Y, because for smaller businesses to be able to monetize for example, in principle, a free or an included Wi-Fi service, what they really need, in my view, is three things. They have to be able to get the user to connect in a simple and user-friendly way. So it has to be easy to get on. And then they have to offer, the Wi-Fi experience for the end user has to somehow be meaningful, right? So one thing is that you can get access to the internet, but you also want to monetize it. So you might want to monetize it with some form of ad, some form, either injecting through the browser. There's many different ways of doing it, watching a video, something like that. Perhaps some form of other form of media, and you want to engage the customer. But all this has to be done in an intelligent way, and I think Cloud4Y is a good example of how a business could build from a cloud-based service like that a meaningful user journey, right? And I think this is the most interesting perspective in cloud Wi-Fi right now that allows businesses to do that, public venues to do that. I think the enterprise space is slightly different. I mean, the the more traditional enterprise space that Ruckus and others are working in. But the cloud space for small medium enterprises, I think, and public venues is really exciting. And we've actually dedicated an entire day to looking into this at the Wi-Fi Offload Summit coming up next month, where Cloud4 will be there, Ruckus will be there as well, and a number of other super interesting vendors and service providers that are working with all these new ways of monetizing public Wi-Fi, and that's coming up next month, actually in Palo Alto. So if you're interested in that, please join us.
Okay, great. Now you're saying that there are 3 things that need to be in place to successfully monetize Wi-Fi: easy to get on, meaningful experience. What's the third thing?
The third, yeah, okay. So meaningful experience for the user. The third thing, sorry, I got sidetracked. The third thing is it has to add value to the business itself, right? So if you're going to offer a free Wi-Fi service at a retail location or something, that free Wi-Fi service has to the end user has to be monetized. So it has to be done. I mean, there's various ways of doing it. I know Cloud4 has, for example, vouchers, electronic voucher systems in place that you can offer to the consumer when he logs on to a particular, in connection, well, when he's in a particular shop and so on. Or you can show an ad, and there's various other ways of doing it. So it has to be monetized by the business itself. So those are the 3 things, and those are some of the things I'm studying very much right now. Mm-hmm.
Now, David, would you agree with those 3 bullet points for what needs to happen?
I wanted to chime in on that. I think Claus is right for the most part. Those 3 things are important. I don't really think when people talk about monetization, the first thing they always go towards is pushing ads to people. And people, I don't really think, want ads pushed to them. They expect when they log on to get some kind of splash page, and that's an opportunity to send a message to them. Or you could send messages to them, but I don't think they really want that. More practically, monetizing Wi-Fi really lies in the ability for the venue operator, no matter who they are, is to glean analytics and behavior from the people using the network, because people really don't want to be bothered with stuff being pushed to their phones. It's just kind of bothersome. But small businesses, really, cloud Wi-Fi or the ability to offer and manage Wi-Fi over the cloud really represents a new opportunity, because the small businesses, they're relegated to having to go to Best Buy or someplace to get a consumer-grade AP that's really not well suited for delivering a quality experience or consistent, reliable connectivity and performance. And they're difficult to manage, and cloud Wi-Fi changes that by allowing them to get an enterprise class system that's really simple. Now, most people buy products, at least in the mid-market enterprise, they buy products through value-added resellers. Value-added resellers want to be able to offer Wi-Fi as a service, and so imagine a reseller being able to sell a medium enterprise access points, ship them to wherever they need to go, and the customer doesn't have to have any IT expertise. They can literally plug one of these things in. It will automatically phone home to the cloud-based Wi-Fi control system, and you get on a couple web pages via a front-end GUI, and you can be up and running very, very quickly. And that's something that really has been out of reach for a lot of small businesses, the SOHO market, which represents a large part of the wireless LAN market. In fact, the biggest part of the wireless LAN market. So it really changes the game for them, for sure.
But in order to take advantage of this using your solution, they have to buy your hardware, right?
In this case, yes. For our cloud-based solution, yeah, our control system that's in the cloud obviously communicates with the access points uniquely, as does every wireless LAN system sold on the market today. So yes, the access point actually goes and calls home to the controller and then registers itself and then gets its personality based on how you've configured it from some very simple wizards that come up on the screen that the venue owner or the value-added reseller can configure in a matter of minutes. But yes, it has to. It's a system, so they work together.
So going forward, do you think that the cloud controller will ever separate and work with other vendors' hardware?
It will in some respects, but not in the traditional way. It's for the longest time in the wireless LAN market, people have wanted to be able to buy a controller that can control anybody's access points. Well, the problem is that all the features and functions that go into defining and delivering a service are unique to the hardware. So that's why everybody's system, whether it's Cisco's or Aruba's or anybody else's, is proprietary in nature in terms of how the access points talk to the control system, because they have to be, because there's certain ways in which those commands have to be sent to the access points for the controller to be able to communicate and to be able to control those access points. So in a generic way, to do some simple things, I think the answer is yes, but to do more sophisticated type services, I think it's going to remain proprietary for the most part.
Okay, that's interesting. And then, Ivan, your solution sits on top of a solution like what Ruckus has, and is that right? It can work with different vendors, software and hardware. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. As David mentioned, it maybe is a little bit difficult for different Wi-Fi vendor to use and normalize the protocols in the way as the cloud talk with the access network. But for us, that we are on top of the access network is simpler. So at Cloud4Y, we created a vendor agnostic platform able to work on top of most Wi-Fi vendors. So in this way, our customers have a single management platform to set up and deliver the same experience over the entire network, independently from the access network mix. And these also provide the flexibility of having only one solution to run different market initiatives who can eventually benefit of using different type of hardware, even from different vendors. But especially the best advantage of this vendor agnostic approach is the possibility to normalize the legacy assets that are already in place. The number of existing Wi-Fi network is huge and is much more bigger than the number of the new access point that will be deployed in the next couple of years. And the portion of the Wi-Fi network managed by carriers is a very small percentage. The rest of the network is really fragmented, but it can still represent a huge opportunity if you can normalize this network from the point of view of the services and user experience. And so, because of this opportunity, we created a platform able to work on top of any network. So, managed service provider can support different customers using different hardware mix, and each of these customers, moreover, has different needs and strategies. And our marketplace is flexible enough to give them the right tools. So in the case they need more flexibility, also our marketplace, our set of business tool and application to monetize Wi-Fi initiative is becoming open. So we are launching also a software development kit which will allow each customer by himself to develop and deploy their own application into the Cloud4Y marketplace. So definitely the vendor agnostic approach is pay when you go through different Wi-Fi network, especially delivering value-add services.
Okay, great. Now, David mentioned that people do not usually respond well to having ads pushed to them, and that the real opportunity in Wi-Fi for businesses is analytics. Ivan, is that what your service provider customers are hearing from their business customers?
Yes, absolutely. Analytics is one of the most important parts. Understanding the user behavior and the demographics of the customer base is really important. And I agree that the user experience is the first place, is the goal of the service provider, both in terms of quality of service and also how to make easier to get the user connected. And advertising is still a viable option for monetizing the Wi-Fi initiative, depending on the type of enterprise and business initiative. But there are also other ways, like using Wi-Fi to promote products by pushing coupons or just to push surveys to the customer base. And on top of that, we can make the life easier also to the end user, but we still have tools and applications to monetize and to help the business. For example, we have a set of proximity marketing tools which rely on the location-based nature of the Wi-Fi to trigger this campaign depending on the user action. For example, using different channels like the social media, email, SMS. So as soon as a user enters on a venue, we can send him a local promotion that is very targeted to this audience, because we know who the user is and the history and behavior of this user. So definitely user experience is interesting, is the first goal, but there are other techniques to monetize the initiative. And analytics is something that, especially in the retails and enterprise, they really appreciate to support their business plan and strategies, understanding the reaction of the customer base respect to the campaign that they launch.
Okay, thank you. We are almost out of time, but I'd like to go back to each of you to see if you have anything you would like to add. We've covered a lot, but I'm sure there's a lot more. Klaus, do you have anything else before we finish?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I agree very much with the two gentlemen about the analytics side. It's extremely important. I also think location-based services with some form of customer engagement is important. We haven't seen a lot of that yet in practice, but I think those two areas are super, super important. What we really need to work on, I think, as an industry is to not just make it, if we're going to use ads, then make it an intelligent ad that's actually meaningful to the user, like when you go to Amazon and Amazon suggests what books might be for you or something like that. I actually appreciate that because Amazon knows my taste, right? So that's useful information for me. So that kind of advertising, I think that would be useful also in the Wi-Fi space. Other than that, I think, Martha, thanks very much for having me on. I think it's great fun.
Yeah, good luck with the Wi-Fi Offload Summit.
Yeah, thanks very much.
David, do you have anything else?
Yeah, first of all, it's been a good discussion. I think we need to remember that even if it's cloud-based Wi-Fi or anybody else, any other kind of Wi-Fi, whether it's on-premise or what, you can't manage what. If users can't get on the network and can't get connected properly, then it doesn't make any difference how that Wi-Fi is managed, whether it's in the cloud or whether it's local. So the most important thing is the user experience, and users complain when they can't connect or when their phones or smart mobile devices drop connections or the speed isn't good enough, because the carrier, if the carrier is providing a service, no matter how it's managed, when do they have to troubleshoot problems? When users cannot connect. So cloud-based Wi-Fi opens the door for some new business models in terms of management, streamlining the time to market in terms of service delivery, which is great. But unless you have a unified system that can work as a carrier-grade system, because carriers are looking to offer Wi-Fi as a service utility. And as such, it needs to be controlled, it needs to have an SLA behind it. And those things aren't going out to a Best Buy, buying a couple of consumer-grade APs, plugging them in, and trying to manage them through some third-party cloud service. That's not really a carrier-class experience that people are going to pay for. But the cloud does open the door to all kinds of things like he was mentioning, location and analytics and the ability to scale and come to market faster. So it's an exciting new area, but keep in mind that first and foremost, Wi-Fi is a radio, and you have to have a strong signal and the ability to adapt to different kinds of environments and the multiplicity of devices that are trying to attach to these networks. So capacity becomes a real issue.
Right. All right, thank you. David Kalish, VP of Corporate Marketing at Ruckus Wireless. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, and Ivan Muccini, Cloud4Y. Do you have any final comments?
Yeah, I definitely agree with David about the user experience. That definitely, getting on board and have a good signal, a good quality is the most important things. But because Wi-Fi is becoming an amenity service, and everyone has to give Wi-Fi access to their customers in retail, in shops, and shopping mall. This enterprise has to pay to invest on setting up networks. So they definitely also need some ways, some tools to get the return of the investment. And so I think that keeping in mind that the user experience is the first goal, they still get benefit of platform like Cloud4Y to set up some strategies that try to engage a user, support the business, trying to avoid to make the Wi-Fi access attempts annoying and difficult. And through Cloud4Y, this is possible, and this is obviously our goal. So thank you, Martha, for inviting us on this meeting.
Well, thank you all for being here. It's been a great discussion. This has been RCR Insights. Join us next week when our topic will be security and the Internet of Things. Thank you all very much for being here.
Thank you, Martha.
It's a pleasure. Thanks, Martha.
Thank you.